Howdy, howdy, folks. It is Diecastbuffet here again, and William Byron goes back-to-back and wins at Phoenix after winning, or really stealing the win, late in the race at Las Vegas last week. So Byron gets it done. The Valvoline car. I can't remember the last time the 24 has won in every single paint scheme he's had. I mean, think about it. He's won in the Raptor car. He's won the Valvoline car. He won last year in the Liberty car. I mean, I'm telling you, he's taking care of all of his sponsors. Oh, by the way, he won Homestead in the Exalted car, so it was really cool. Very reminiscent of the OG Jeff Gordon days, winning all kinds of alternate paint schemes. But, of course, you can pre-order that race to win diecast over there at Circle B Diecast. Most likely a 164 is going to get made with it. Let's hope it has confetti with it. That would be freaking awesome. You can pre-order the 124 and 164 over there at Circle B Diecast. Use code Diecastbuffet, same as the YouTube username somewhere down here, and you'll save on shipping to use, if it's for orders $30 or more. So, Phoenix 2023, the spring race that nothing happened until the last 10 laps. Oh boy, it's really interesting to me, guys, how Phoenix has two races a year, the championship race and they have a spring race. Yet Chicagoland sits dormant. We have only one race at Homestead. We don't have a race at Rockingham in the Cup Series. Oh, by the way, we got a perfectly good track in Fontana that's going to get bulldozed, but Phoenix deserves two races a year. Phoenix, in my opinion, the better part of the last 10 years, has been one of the most bland tracks on the circuit, and it's still asinine to me to think that they have two races a year. It really is. I mean, and they tried a brand new rules package, and I give them credit for trying. But wow, nothing happened. Literally nothing. They had one caution pretty much for incident throughout the first 85% of the race, and it was probably a funky tire or a funky wheel. Something broke on the 10 car, I think, and he hit the wall. That was the most exciting thing that happened in the entire race. I feel bad for the Amarola fans, but let's just be honest. Nothing happened for the first 85 to 95% of the race, and then they had Harrison Burton spinning at the end of the race, and then finally they actually raced hard. Kevin Harvick was leading with about 7 laps to go when the caution came out. He was on his way to get his 10th career Phoenix win, which would have been amazing. And unfortunately, he was driving the worst-looking Harvick paint scheme in history. But that's besides the point. The point is that Phoenix absolutely sucks with the Gen 7 car. It was bad with the Gen 6, but I think it's even worse with the Gen 7, guys. I mean, it's embarrassing that they have the championship race here at Phoenix when there is plenty of great racetracks that they could go to. I mean, imagine if they were in Chicagoland. Imagine if they had 2 races at Homestead, Rockingham, anywhere. These Gen 7 cars, guys, they do not race that good at short tracks, and the only short track I could possibly think of that the Gen 7 car might actually run really good at would be Rockingham. And the only reason is because Rockingham is like a condensed version of a 1.5 mile. It has the banking. It has the front straightaway, kind of like a Las Vegas a little bit. It's like a higher bank Richmond, but both ends of the track are different, kind of like Phoenix. Makes you wonder, let's make Phoenix a high bank track. Why not? I'm telling you, man. They absolutely got to get Phoenix down to one race. I mean, it's terrible. I'm sorry. They could have went to any other racetrack and the racing would have been fantastic. They could have 3 races at Kansas and it would have been better than this. They could bring back the Charlotte non-Coke 600 500-mile oval race and it would have been significantly better than this. The Texas fall race was better than this. I'm just saying, Phoenix, if you've been watching my channel for years, guys, I appreciate that so much, guys. If you've been watching my channel for years, you would know how critical I've been of Phoenix Raceway. And it's still the same track. It's the same crap. The ARCA race was 1,000,000 times better. The Xfinity race was 1,000,000 times better. These Gen 7 cars do not work at Phoenix. And, of course, the Gen 6 cars really didn't work there either. I don't know, man. They 30% downforce. They said in the telecast that, it's the lowest downforce they've had in stock cars since the late 90s. Maybe aerodynamically. Maybe in some weird statistic it is. But I can assure you from a eye point view, there is no snowball's chance in you know what. It is the same amount or less amount of downforce than the late 90s stock cars. Because they would go to any track on the circuit and they were slipping and sliding. They had 700 horsepower, unrestricted, no BS. My point is, they got to reduce a crap load more of downforce or add a crap load of horsepower to get Phoenix where it needs to be competitive in terms of the other racing venues. Because I'm telling you, if I had to list all the racetracks in terms of racing quality, Phoenix is the worst. I mean, it's bad, y'all. It is bad. The last 10 laps of the race were fantastic because they're fanning out in the restart, but nothing happens. And it wasn't like last week at Vegas where it was, organic green flag runs. The tire fall off. I saw Blaney stay in fifth or sixth place throughout the whole first stage. He did not even move. The tire fall off is not there. It's terrible. It's terrible. They got to do something. Either put it to one race a year, I don't know, completely scrap the rules package and redo it all over again. Take off the side skirts, take off the splitter, get rid of the freaking diffuser, get rid of the spoiler, add horsepower. I don't care what it takes. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care if they have to put a wicker bill on the roof like they did in the plate tracks of the 2000s. Whatever it takes, just get some decent racing in the Cup Series, guys. Because Phoenix used to be a really good track in the 2000s when the Gen 4 cars had 700 to 800 plus horsepower, when the COTs had even more than that. They were able to have tire fall off. You were able to have dive bombs in the corners. They've lost their way. They've got to find a way to fix it. Phoenix and Richmond both have 2 race dates a year. Chicagoland still sits dormant. Homestead only has 1 race date on the schedule. Think of all the other amazing racetracks they could go to on the entire North American calendar. Nothing. They give them 2 race dates to Richmond and 2 races to Phoenix. I almost guarantee you the Richmond race is going to probably be exactly like this. Oh, boy. Good news is, though, Atlanta's coming up next week. I'm so excited for that. Some super speedway action. Hopefully it's an absolute barn burner. Hopefully we get a upset winner and a whole bunch of crashing and bashing. Who knows? Maybe Stenhouse can win another race. That would be interesting. But got to give a shout out to Josh Berry for that top 10 run. All 4 of the Hendrick cars in the top 10. That's a very cool thing there. But Larson, so close, man. He dominated almost every lap of this race, it seemed. And just right there at the end, the caution, or not the caution, but Harvick passed him. And then he got the caution. He got the opportunity to have the lead because of the pit stop. They took 2 when everyone else, it was like 5 cars that took 2 and everyone else took 4. And once again, you can't pass at Phoenix because there's next to no tire fall off. The fact that, get this, clean air I think is more prominent at Phoenix than it might have been at Fontana. That's how bad the next gen cars are at short tracks. And I think the reason why is because if you think about road course racing with sports cars, if you see how fast and agile and the apex how they turn on flat corners in road course racing, they turn on a dime. They turn almost perfectly. They have wide tires. The entire car is built for these things. Stock cars since the dawn of time, they have been one of the most difficult vehicles you could get to turn left or right because the car is just built. It's too heavy. It's bulky. These cars are borderline modified sports cars. So of course they're going to turn great at tracks like Martinsville, great at tracks like Phoenix, New Hampshire, Gateway. And that's why the difference, in my opinion, is so different. It's the car itself. I don't know if they can fix it or not, but I would remove more downforce, whatever it takes, add horsepower. Let's try it. Let's just bring 750 horsepower. Let's bring 800 horsepower to one race, just one race this year. Let's see what happens. Let's find a way to make it work. I'm just saying, if you want to make these races more enjoyable and entertainable, and this is coming from a diehard NASCAR fan, if I was not thoroughly entertained by this race, because I've seen races in the past, I know how competitive Phoenix can be, I guarantee you the people who only watch 5 NASCAR races a year, they changed the channel and they said, I'm going to watch something else. If you want to keep people watching, you got to have better racing. Ugh. What do y'all think, guys? Am I just crazy? Thank y'all so much for watching the video and hearing a jabroni rant about it. But man, it's just every time we go to Phoenix, guys, it's like, oh, Phoenix. I mean, They could literally go back to Fontana, and I would have been perfectly okay with it. They could go back to Daytona and run a 400-mile race. Anything. They could probably run the parking lot outside of Talladega, and it'd be more entertaining than Phoenix. I'm telling you. The fact that this track has 2 race dates, including the championship race, is just asinine. Bring it back to Homestead. Do something. I mean, maybe even make it a night race. Maybe that would make it better. Just do something. I applaud them for at least removing the downforce for the short tracks and the road courses. But I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't even think it's enough. Even Larson said it himself, he could barely feel a difference. And he dominated the whole race. I'm just saying, it's not enough. 30% downforce. I find that hard to believe that these cars apparently had less downforce than the late 90s stock cars. I find that hard to believe. Go back. Watch Rockingham. Watch Richmond. Go watch Martinsville. Heck, go watch Las Vegas when it was on fresh asphalt in the late 90s. Those things slip and slide so much more. There's absolutely no way these cars have less downforce to them. I find that hard to believe. Maybe it's because, I don't know, they have less horsepower, so less downforce is, it really doesn't affect it because they don't have the speed to really spin out of control. But my goodness, I'll end my video on this. The next-gen car has its strengths and it has its weaknesses. 1.5 mile racing was the weakness of Gen 6 cars. I think we can all agree with that for the most part. So they reduced those. Dover, Pocono, Michigan, Texas, Charlotte, blah, 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 down to 1 race in terms of ovals, right? They added more road courses to mix it up. The Gen 7 car, its strengths is the 1.5 miles. It is the 2 miles. It's crazy to think, after nearly 2 decades of everyone complaining there's too many cookie cutters on the track, these cars are built for cookie cutters. They are built for the generic 1.5 miles. I hate to say it, but they really need to remove some of the short tracks and add these back in there because the racing is better at these bigger tracks, at 1.5 miles, at the 2 miles. I never thought we'd be saying this, but this is the truth. So, who knows? I'm just glad Atlanta's next week. I love super speedway racing. I'm a huge fan of it, and the fact that we have 6 races a year in the Cup Series that's plate racing is just I will say though, I wish it was a 500-mile race and not a 400-mile race because I love endurance and stock car racing. But I want to say thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you got some entertainment out of this video. I'm curious what y'all thought about the Phoenix race. I'm super hyped that Larson had a great run and Byron won, but man, it's like, if they could have raced like they did in the last 10 laps for at least half of the race, it would have been great, No. I wish Tony Stewart could be in the booth full time. I think that would be really cool because I'm telling you, I love his commentary. Really good stuff. I wish Stewart was in the booth more often. But that's all for now. Diecastbuffet signing off.